Welcome, brave souls, to a realm where shadows whisper secrets too vile for the light. I'm here to unravel tales so chilling that your skin will crawl long after the silence falls. Help me reach my first 1,000 subscribers, hit that button now, and together, let's unearth the horrors awaiting us tonight. Living in Thornwell, a small town where the fog rolls in like clockwork, I never thought much would happen. I'm Michael, just a regular 17-year-old, feeling trapped in the monotony of this place. But today, my best friend Tristan had other plans. He came to me with that mischievous glint in his eye, the one that always meant trouble. "Let's go into the woods," he said. "Chase the old myth about the fog creature." I laughed it off at first. The story of the mysterious being that supposedly appears when the mist thickens was just a tale to scare kids. Yet, the idea of breaking the routine was tempting. So, we set out as the sun began to dip, the fog already starting to creep in from the edges of the forest. Our plan was simple: wander into the mist and see if we could catch a glimpse of the so-called creature. It felt like a game, a way to shake up our dull lives. As we stepped into the woods, the fog wrapped around us, turning the familiar into something eerie and unknown. I couldn't shake the feeling that we were stepping into something much bigger than a simple adventure, but with Tristan by my side, I pushed forward, eager to see what the fog might reveal. Little did I know, this would be the start of something that would change everything. As we ventured deeper into the foggy woods, the familiar thrill of adventure quickly turned into something else. The mist was thick, almost suffocating, and it felt like we were walking into a different world. That's when we heard a faint, melodic whistle cutting through the fog. At first, it was soft, almost like a lullaby you'd hear as a kid, soothing yet eerie. Tristan's eyes lit up with curiosity, and despite the growing unease in my gut, we moved forward. The whistle grew louder, transforming the atmosphere around us into something unnatural, as if the fog itself was reacting to the sound. I wanted to turn back, but Tristan's determination pulled us deeper into the mist. Just when I convinced him we should head home, a figure emerged from the fog. It was tall, unnaturally so, with skin that looked like pale, waxy paper. Its eyes were hollow, black voids that seemed to stare right through us. My heart pounded in my chest as fear gripped me. This was no myth. The Hollow Man was real, and we were standing right in front of it. Weeks after our terrifying encounter with the Hollow Man, Thornwell didn't feel like home anymore. It was as if the town itself had turned against us. The fog, a constant reminder of what we'd seen. Strange things started happening. Tristan and I both noticed gaps in our memories, like pieces of our lives were just gone. Sometimes it felt like we were being followed, a chill running down my spine whenever I was alone. The nightmares were the worst. Every night, I'd wake up in a cold sweat, the sound of that haunting whistle echoing in my ears, the fog wrapping around me like a shroud. Tristan, on the other hand, became obsessed with finding answers. He couldn't let it go, and neither could I. We decided to head to the local library, hoping to find something, anything, about the Hollow Man. Digging through old records, we stumbled upon stories of others who had heard the whistle in the mist. People who vanished without a trace, their lives erased as if they never existed. The legend was clear. The Hollow Man steals fragments of souls, erasing memories and driving people to madness. The more we read, the more I realized the gravity of what we'd stumbled into. This wasn't just a myth. It was a curse that had haunted Thornwell for generations. And now, it had its sights set on us. Desperate to find a way out, Tristan talked me into visiting an old abandoned house on the outskirts of Thornwell. Locals whispered that it was the very spot where the Hollow Man first appeared. The place was a mess old, decaying, and overrun with weeds. It felt like stepping into a forgotten nightmare. Inside, the air was thick with dust, and the walls were covered in strange symbols that sent shivers down my spine. In the corner of one room, we found an old, cracked mirror. As we stood in front of it, the familiar whistle cut through the silence, closer this time, more menacing. Suddenly, the mirror's surface began to ripple, and my heart nearly stopped. The Hollow Man's face appeared, grinning at me from the other side. His hollow eyes seemed to bore into my soul, and I felt a terrifying pull, as if he was trying to drag me into the reflection. It was like losing myself, piece by piece, to that grinning figure. Panic surged through me, but before I could react, Tristan grabbed something and smashed the mirror. The glass shattered, breaking the spell, and we ran out of the house as fast as we could. The fear was real, and the Hollow Man was closer than ever. The fog in Thornwell seemed to grow heavier with each passing day, wrapping the town in a suffocating embrace. Tristan and I were different now. He was consumed by the need to find the Hollow Man, convinced that confronting him would restore what we'd lost. But me? I was just getting more and more paranoid. Everywhere I looked, I saw fleeting glimpses of the Hollow Man. His tall figure appeared in windows, reflected in puddles, and even loomed in the fog outside my window. It was like he was always watching, waiting for the right moment to strike. One evening, as I walked through town, an elderly woman stopped me. Her eyes were filled with a knowing sadness as she whispered a warning. "The Hollow Man," she said, "feeds on regret. Once he's found you, there's no escape." Her words chilled me to the bone. I knew then that my last chance to break free was to stop Tristan before it was too late. He was diving headfirst into danger, and if I didn't act, we'd both be lost to the Hollow Man forever. I knew I had to end this nightmare once and for all. So, I returned to the misty woods, the place where it all began. The fog was thicker than ever, almost suffocating, and as I stepped into it, I felt it wrap around me like it was alive, pulling me deeper into its depths. The Hollow Man's presence was overwhelming. I could sense him before I even saw him. When he finally emerged from the mist, his tall, waxy figure loomed over me, those hollow eyes staring into my soul. But this time, I understood him better. He didn't kill. He consumed memories, erasing existence, leaving only whispers behind. Standing there, I faced a choice. I could let go of my past, my memories, and maybe escape his grasp, or I could hold on and become just another lost soul in his endless collection. The weight of that decision pressed down on me, but I knew what I had to do. Letting go was terrifying, but it was my only chance. As I released my grip on the past, the fog seemed to loosen its hold on me. The Hollow Man's figure began to fade, and the whispers grew fainter. I was free, but at what cost? Only time would tell if I could rebuild what I'd lost. But for now, I was out of the Hollow Man's reach. Moving into my late Aunt Margaret's old Victorian house felt like stepping into a storybook. Nestled in a quaint New England town, the house had been sitting empty for years, its secrets locked away like treasures waiting to be discovered. I, Jordan, had always been fascinated by the paranormal, though I'd never experienced it myself. This move felt like the perfect opportunity to finally dive into the unknown. As we settled in, my younger sister Mia and I explored every nook and cranny. The house creaked and groaned, but we chalked it up to the settling of old bones. That is, until Mia stumbled upon an ancient locked trunk in the attic. The excitement of uncovering its contents buzzed between us, but for now, it remained a mystery. The first few nights were uneventful, but then I started feeling watched. It was subtle at first, like a whisper of a presence just out of sight. I tried to shake it off, but the sensation lingered, growing stronger with each passing day. The house, once just a building, now felt alive with secrets waiting to be unraveled. As I lay in bed, the thrill of the unknown mingled with a creeping unease. What was this house trying to tell me, and what secrets did that locked trunk hold? The adventure was just beginning, and I couldn't wait to see where it would lead. The feeling of being watched intensified as the days went by. It was late at night when I first noticed something odd in the dimly lit front hallway. As I walked past the antique mirror, I caught a glimpse of movement out of the corner of my eye. It was fleeting, like a shadow darting away, but it sent a chill down my spine. The next few nights were filled with strange occurrences. Doors would creak open on their own, and I'd hear soft footsteps when no one else was around. I tried to convince myself it was just the old house playing tricks on me, but deep down, I knew something was off. Then, one night, it happened. I woke up suddenly, my heart racing, to see a tall, featureless shadow standing at the foot of my bed. It was pitch black, almost absorbing the light around it. Fear gripped me, but before I could react, it vanished the moment I flicked on the bedside lamp. Lying there, heart pounding, I couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning. Whatever was in this house, it was making its presence known, and I was determined to find out why. The attic was a dusty, cluttered maze of old belongings, each item whispering stories of the past. Mia and I had been itching to get back to that mysterious locked trunk she'd found. Today she was determined to crack it open, and I couldn't help but feel a mix of excitement and apprehension. With a bit of effort and a crowbar, Mia finally pried the trunk open. The creak of the lid echoed in the quiet attic, and we peered inside. Old photographs, yellowed letters, and a small, delicate locket lay nestled among the relics. The locket caught my eye immediately. It was engraved with initials that were too worn to read clearly. Mia reached in and picked up the locket, her fingers brushing against the cool metal. The moment she did, the air around us seemed to shift. A sudden drop in temperature made us both shiver, and I could see my breath in the chilly air. It was as if the locket had triggered something, awakening a presence that had been dormant. We exchanged a look, both of us feeling the weight of what we'd just uncovered. This wasn't just a collection of old things, it was a key to understanding the secrets of this house. And with the eerie chill still lingering, I knew we were on the brink of something big. It was late at night when I woke up, my throat parched. I slipped out of bed and tiptoed downstairs to grab a glass of water. The house was eerily quiet, the only sound the soft creaking of the old wooden floors under my feet. As I passed through the front hallway, that familiar feeling of being watched washed over me again. It was stronger this time, almost suffocating. I paused, my heart pounding, and turned slowly toward the doorway. There it was, the shadow figure, standing tall and menacing by the entrance. Its form was pitch black, a void that seemed to swallow the light around it. Before I could react, it rushed toward me with an unnatural speed, its presence filling the hallway with a chilling dread. Panic surged through me, and I sprinted up the stairs, my feet barely touching the steps. The shadow was right behind me, its silent pursuit more terrifying than any sound could be. I reached my room, slammed the door shut, and leaned against it, gasping for breath. The next morning, I couldn't shake the fear from last night's chase. I needed answers, and the family study seemed like the best place to start. It was filled with old books and records, a treasure trove of our family's history. Mia and I sat down with our mother, who sensed our urgency. She took a deep breath and began to share a story we'd never heard before. Aunt Margaret, it turned out, had an older brother named Victor. He had mysteriously vanished when he was just a child, and the family had never spoken of him since. The only proof of his existence was an old newspaper clipping tucked away in one of the dusty books. It detailed his disappearance, a cold case that had haunted our family for decades. As I read the faded print, a chill ran down my spine. Could Victor be the shadow figure haunting our house? The pieces were starting to come together, but the mystery only deepened. What had happened to Victor, and why was his spirit still lingering in the shadows of our home? I knew we had to keep digging to uncover the truth behind the shadow and finally bring peace to our family. With the locket in hand, Mia and I returned to the attic, the place where this mystery had begun. The air was thick with dust and anticipation as we approached the old trunk. We believed the locket held a connection to Victor, and it was time to find out if we were right. I took a deep breath and carefully opened the locket. The moment I did, a whisper filled the air, chilling and clear. "He took me." The words hung in the silence, and then the shadow figure materialized before us. It was more defined than ever, no longer just a dark void, but a presence with form and features. The shadow stood tall, its eyes locked on the locket in my hand. It seemed to be revealing itself completely, as if the locket had unlocked a part of its story. The air grew colder, and I could feel the weight of Victor's presence, his spirit finally breaking through the shadows. We stood there, frozen, as the truth of what had happened to Victor began to unfold. The shadow was no longer just a haunting figure, it was a plea for help, a cry for justice. And we were determined to give Victor the peace he deserved. After the chilling encounter in the attic, Mia and I knew we had to keep searching for answers. We headed to the backyard, an overgrown and abandoned space that seemed to hold its own secrets. As we pushed through the tall grass and tangled vines, we stumbled upon an old, covered well. Our father joined us, his face growing somber as he looked at the well. He told us how Aunt Margaret had always refused to let anyone near it, a rule that had always seemed strange, but now felt ominous. With a sense of urgency, we pried open the wooden cover, our hearts pounding with anticipation. As the cover came off, we peered into the darkness below. There, at the bottom of the well, we saw the remains of a small skeleton. The realization hit us like a wave those were Victor's remains. The mystery of his disappearance was finally solved, but the weight of the truth was heavy. We stood there, silent. Victor had been taken and hidden away, his spirit trapped in the shadows of our home until now. It was time to give him the peace, and we knew exactly what we had to do next. A week had passed since we discovered Victor's remains in the well. We gave him a proper burial, a ceremony that felt like the final piece of a long puzzle. It was a somber moment, but also one filled with relief. The eerie experiences that had haunted our house seemed to stop after that day. For the first time since we moved in, the house felt peaceful. The feeling of being watched had vanished, and the shadows no longer held the same chilling presence. It was as if Victor's spirit had finally found the peace it had been seeking for so long. Mia decided to keep the locket as a reminder of our journey and the secrets we uncovered. It was a small token, but it held so much meaning for us. We placed it in a special spot in the attic, right next to the old trunk where it all began. One night, as I lay in bed, I swore I heard a faint whisper. It was so soft, almost like a breeze, but the words were clear. "Thank you." It sent a shiver down my spine, but this time, it was a good one. It felt like Victor's way of saying goodbye, a final acknowledgement of our efforts to bring him peace. As I drifted off to sleep, I realized that our adventure had not only solved a mystery, but it also brought our family closer together. The house was no longer just a place. It was a part of our story, a story of uncovering the past and finding closure.